Hello and welcome to part 2 of eukaryotic cells. So in the first video, we went over some of the organelles that are involved in eukaryotic cells, and in part 2, we're just going to keep going, talking about some of the other organelles that we haven't discussed yet. So first, we're going to talk about the organelles, so the components that are found inside of eukaryotic cells that have to do with some kind of cellular energy. And I know this slide says that they produce energy, but remember that energy can't really be created. It's more that these organelles convert energy to a form of energy that the cell can use. And so the first one is going to be the mitochondria. Mitochondria, they break down sugar for energy. Primarily, that's going to be glucose. So glucose, which is a type of sugar, has energy. The mitochondria break it down for energy. To convert it into a type of energy that the cell can use. Mitochondria have two membranes. As you can see, they've got like two layers of membranes. They also have their own ribosomes and their own DNA. And the reason why is because mitochondria were once their own free-living bacteria. And through evolutionary history, these free-living bacteria went inside of a bigger cell and they just started hanging out like that. So this is an endosymbiotic relationship. Obviously, now the mitochondria are part of the eukaryotic cell. They really can't live on their own anymore, but way back when, that's how mitochondria started. So that's why they still have their own DNA and their own ribosomes. That's remnants of their past as an individual bacteria. Then we have the chloroplasts. Chloroplasts, what they do is they collect light energy or convert light energy into chemical energy so that the cell can use it. Obviously, chloroplasts are found in plants and some other types of photosynthetic microbes and things like that. But yeah, chloroplasts are going to be for photosynthesis essentially. And similarly to the mitochondria, they're going to also have two layers of membrane, and they're going to have their own DNA and ribosomes as well. So same thing, the chloroplasts were once their own free-living bacteria. They went into a larger cell, and now they live inside of plants and certain types of microbes that are photosynthetic. So those are the two energy organelles. Then there is the cytoskeleton. So the cytoskeleton is not necessarily one organelle, but a group of organelles or a group of things that are found in the cell that help the cell maintain its shape. So every cell has its own shape, whether it's circular, square, etc., and the cytoskeleton helps with that. But you're about to see that the cytoskeleton doesn't just help with shape, but also movement and transportation. So the first type of cytoskeleton material is the microtubules. So these are very large tubes made of proteins called tubulin, and they have a lot of function, obviously for structure, but also for transport and cell division. So when the cell divides in half, the microtubules play an important role in that. By the way, microtubules are produced by these organelles called centrosomes. So here's a little picture of a centrosome. A centrosome is actually made up of two centrioles, so that's kind of confusing for some students, but a centriole is this single piece right here, and then they always come in two, and so together they make the centrosome. But anyway, these centrosomes, they make the microtubules. Then there are the intermediate filaments, so they're a little bit larger. Sorry, microtubules are the biggest, intermediates are in the middle. They are larger than microfilaments, though. So these intermediate filaments are made of different types of fibrous proteins. So it could be like a keratin type of protein or things like that, but their main job is just strictly structure. And then finally, the microfilaments. These are going to be made of actin proteins, and actin is and microfilaments, their main job is for movement. So actin is going to be really important in cells like muscle cells that actually move. But just in general, cells use actin and microfilaments for some type of movement. And one specific function of microtubules, so we're going back to the microtubules, which are the biggest ones. Microtubules are also the main component of cilia and flagella. And both of these are appendages of eukaryotic cells. So eukaryotes have these appendages, things that stick out of them. that are used for movement. We've got the flagella, which is a very long whip-like structure that cells use to essentially swim. And then we've got the cilia, which are these tiny hair-like structures. Same thing for movement, but usually when a cell has cilia, it has multiple hundreds and hundreds of cilia that kind of move around to help the cell move. And anyway, both of these, both the cilia and the flagella, are made up of microtubules and tubulin proteins that are arranged in a specific way. So for example, here is a cross-section of what a flagella looks like, and you can see these are the microtubules. They're arranged like that. So that's pretty cool. All right, and then finally, we're gonna just talk about some of the bonus structures that plant cells have. So remember that eukaryotes include your plants, your animals, your fungi. So I'm just gonna talk about two organelles that are specific to plant cells. Plants are still eukaryotes, but they have these two bonus structures, two bonus organelles that are not found in the animals. So the first one is the cell wall. The cell wall is this rigid outer layer that helps the plant maintain its cell shape. Fungi also have a cell wall, so they are also eukaryotes, and they also have a cell wall, but their cell wall is different from plant cells. But anyway, in this particular example, I'm talking about just plant cells. They have a cell wall made of cellulose. It's a very rigid polysaccharide, meaning that it's made up of sugar. And it is a type of sugar that we can't break down. So whenever you're eating plants, like vegetables and things like that, that's cellulose. Your body actually can't break that down. So all right, and then the plant cells, they also have these central vacuoles. It's a huge organelle that you can see in the middle of the cell. This is typically used for maintaining some kind of water pressure or water content. There's water storage going on. So anything to do with like storing water, maintaining water pressure, is going to be happening in the central vacuole. All right, so that's all I have for this video. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.